Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel Eddie in Reading Land. My name is Eddie and today I'm bringing you my favorite depictions of the Emperor. Okay, let's see guys. So for today's video, like I mentioned before, I thought I'd give you guys my favorite depictions of the Emperor from the decks that I currently own. I do have to say that one of the Emperor cards from a newer tarot deck made it to the list and kicked out the other another one from the original list. You will know which one that is in a little while. But for the Emperor, I seem to like versions of the Emperor that are more either feminine or passive looking. I have a very strange history with the Emperor card, especially because I'm from Costa Rica and what the Emperor card used to represent for me. No, it still actually does represent fatherly figures and you know, the active masculine. It represents order and it represents managing your resources in a very good way. It represents authority. It represents organization. There are a lot of elements from the Emperor that I like right now and that I equate the Emperor to, but back then when I was starting my tarot journey, the Emperor was one of those cards that made me a little angry, possibly because coming from Costa Rica and the machismo culture that I experienced back then, and still experience a little to this day. It's really hard to let go of those things, guys, but fortunately, tarot has been a great tool for this, and having to shift my mindset on the Emperor has helped with that as well. So I'm very thankful for that. But let's get started. So like always, I will have two honorable mentions for the Emperor, and the first one is actually the Emperor from the Lost Hollow Tarot by Pixel Occult. I really enjoy this Emperor because even though it looks very intimidating and very striking and disciplined, it also, the card seems to have a little passivity to it in its own monstrosity, and I really like that. That is a very difficult thing to do and to portray on a card, and I really appreciate Pixel Occult doing this. I believe their name is James. I recently backed their Kickstarter campaign for their new deck, which by the way I'm waiting for and I'm really excited for because it's these same colors. But as in any case, I really enjoy the stoicism that the Emperor is giving us, and I really enjoy the fact that we have the sun on the back of the Emperor and also these mountains. It just, they give me a sort of brightness and structure that I really like to see on an Emperor. And by the way that this Emperor is dressed is just great. I really like their jacket and their suit. I love the fact that we have an Ankh here representing immortality. I don't know if you guys are able to see, but we also have there we go. We have B energy on the tarot. I mean, on the Emperor. And I really like that. What's more organized and orderly than a beehive? Well, in my opinion, it makes good sense to have it for the Emperor and also for the Empress. But as in any case, this is my first honorable mention, and the second honorable mention will be the Emperor from the Sephiroth Tarot. That's the full name of the tarot is actually the Spheres of Heaven Tarot. I will have the various artists linked, and also the link for the tarot down below. But it's about 4 artists that made this card happen, and I really enjoy this Emperor because even though we have a very typical Emperor, the older person with the ram and the staff over here. He looks very gentle. He looks very at peace with himself. And he also looks very wise, and I like that aspect of the Emperor being represented without the aggressiveness or without the blatant authority that some of the emperors tend to have. So I really, really enjoy this, and I love the colors that they decide to choose for this. These very mild pastels against these very bright pasteurized reds. It's really, really beautiful and striking. I also like the fact that this emperor is actually crowned with stars, just like the empress. It gives a little bit more femininity to the emperor that I really, really appreciate. It makes me smile. It doesn't make me scared of this emperor. This is one of those emperors that I probably would come for advice. He seems to be a very organized person. He's holding a parchment over here. Makes me think that he's also a scholar. So I really, really like that. I really enjoy that. But that being said, this emperor is also very masculine still. And for that reason is also just one honorable mention. Okay, guys. So for the top 3 of the emperors, I seem to be enjoying emperors that are more softer looking. And for number 3, I'm sorry. My third favorite emperor is the emperor from the classics of Mountains and Seas by Carolyn Zing. I just really, really, really enjoyed this emperor. I love that Carolyn decided to use this amazing golden yellow color. And I just love, again, this orb in the back. To me, it represents Mars, but I'm sure that it's probably just some sort of a Chinese screen. Let me see if I can bring it up a little so that you guys are able to see that a little better. And you see that there's some decorative motif on the orb, and I really, really, really like that. I just love the fact that this emperor is carrying a very unusual staff. It almost looks like a musical instrument or some sort of tool that he's able to use. I like the fact that we are seeing a younger, softer, but still stern version of an emperor. That makes me really happy. I really like the fact that he also has a different sort of hairdo that most emperors don't have. So I really, really like that. I love the chrysanthemums in the background and the stones also in the background. That stones just remind me of foundation and reminds me of toughness. It reminds me of discipline, reminds me of being able to stand your ground. And I like that imagery for the emperor. And I do think that even though this emperor looks less masculine and it's a little bit more feminine, I do feel like this emperor is able to stand his own ground and is able to manage obstacles and organize his people and provide for those people as well. So this is an amazing emperor card. I really, really enjoyed this depiction. I will say that this emperor is only number 3 because he is young, and I tend to prefer a more mature, maybe not very old, but a more mature sort of emperor. And the next emperor actually ticks that box. And here we have the emperor from the Botan Tarot by A. Miyako M. Her name is Addie, but she decided to have her name as A. Miyako M for tarot, and that's what I'm using for you guys today. Reading the zine for this tarot, I learned that the emperor is seen as a trainer, as a custodian, as a protector, and as a provider for this falcon over here. I did not know. And this is why it's so important to me to have a reference guide from the artist so that we are able to see the image through them. Not to mention that this is just a very beautiful image of the emperor. He seems so compassionate. He seems so sympathetic. He seems very human. This emperor seems like one of us. Instead of a royal, this emperor looks like one of us. This is a person who, through his day-to-day, he's earning his keep, training falcons. But going on with the falconry training, I did not know that not only does it take years for the falcon and the trainer to establish a relationship of trust, it takes as well for the trainer to let go of the falcon and trust that the falcon is going to come back to its glove. I really, really, really like that message from the emperor, because it is difficult for me to see the emperor as somebody who is able to make connections with others. Probably because I feel like it's more emperor energy to be domineering and establish a connection through a little bit of force, which I really, really don't like. But this image of trust between these two beings really speaks to me, and it actually has allowed me to see the emperor in a very different light than I would have used to seeing the emperor. That's fascinating. It's completely fascinating to me. I really like that Addie went with blues instead of the usual oranges. Not because I don't like it. The oranges on the emperor actually makes even more sense to me, to have that very fiery energy on the emperor. But it's really difficult to portray fiery energy that doesn't look aggressive or doesn't look powerful or strong in a very aggressive way. This, however, is very mild. This is also very peaceful. This person, I can tell that they know what order and organization is, because training a falcon is not an easy task, and it requires discipline, it requires scheduling, it requires managing, it requires providing for the falcon things that really the falcon will be doing by itself. So I just really, really like that. I also like the fact that even though this falcon is tied to the emperor, I like that we are able to show that string of connection. That's very enjoyable to me. That's very Japanese. The Japanese have a theory of the strings of fate. If any of you have ever seen an anime in actually a romantic anime, usually there is an image of having a red thread tied around the pinkies, and this is what that reminds me of. So I really, really like it. I appreciate that this is an older, mature gentleman who also looks very, very soothing, very passive, a little less masculine than most other emperors. I really, really like that. So, but it's still number 2, because, and here is the Emperor from the Monsoon Tarot by Woe Studios. This Emperor, the first time that I saw it, it perplexed me and it confused me, but also it brought me a lot of excitement. Because even though this is imagery that we usually attribute to the lovers, I really, really, really appreciate the fact that we are seeing a very vulnerable, very passionate, very loving emperor. That is something that I rarely get to see. I think when I went through all of the tarots that I own, this was the only tarot that actually had this loving sort of fiery energy. And I really, really appreciate this. We can definitely see, again here, the trust, and we can also see this connection built on trust, which I'm beginning to really like from the Emperor, and which I'm also beginning to attribute to the Emperor now. That's very exciting for me. This completely breaks the idea that I had of the very stern, disciplined, authoritative, aggressive sort of Emperor, and it just gives me a very compassionate, very vulnerable and open sort of Emperor energy. I really, really like and appreciate that the Emperor is lost in the kiss with this woman, which I assume is the his queen, hopefully, or maybe somebody that he loves. I can see the love between these two, but I also like the fact that WoW Studios managed to make the focus on the Emperor, even though we see more of the woman figure. I like that the Emperor is carrying a square filled with fire. That makes incredible sense to me, because I do equate the Emperor with fiery energy, and I also equate the Emperor with organization. So the square is always good for that. I like the square to represent order and organizing. It's equal parts times 3, so I really, really, really like that. I like the fact that this is giving me Gustav Klimt the Kiss vibes. That's probably the inspiration behind this. But as you guys can see, there's also cubes all around the imagery in the back. Let me see if I can lift that up a little so that you guys can see them better. And as you guys can see as well, there are silhouettes of buildings in the background, which again bring to me structure and foundation and safety and security. So I really, really enjoy this Emperor. I really, really like the fact that this Emperor is also in sepia tones. That's again very, very different for me. For the Emperor, usually it's a lot more brighter, and even though this is dim, I can still see the light in the card, and I really, really appreciate that. I like that we are equating the Emperor with more golden colors. That seems to be a more popular motif for the Emperor nowadays, and I really, really enjoy that. It makes me really happy. The Emperor looks less aggressive, and it looks less in power, in authority, when artists decide to depict the Emperor in such a way, in dimmer colors. I just really like this card. It's incredibly different, and I have not seen an Emperor like this before. Like I said, I went through all of my decks, and this was the only Emperor that truly did break the mold in such an unexpected and such a good way. It's very unexpected, but it works. That's what I mean. It totally works for me. This Emperor brings more passive feelings in me. This Emperor makes me smile. This Emperor makes me think that there are other aspects of the Emperor that we can explore without the Emperor being this very masculine, very authoritative, and very aggressive sort of energy. I really, really appreciate WoW Studios for this Emperor. It's very unique, very original. I really enjoy it. It is my favorite from all the decks that I have right now. And but yeah, no, that's it, guys. That's it for me for today. Let me know in the comment below if you actually like any of these Emperors, or which one's your favorite Emperor card. I'd really like to know that. I will have a chat in the messages. But thank you so much for being here today with me on this video. I really appreciate the time that you guys are taking to watch these. And bye bye, YouTube.